Hey, what's up, gentlemen and ladies? Happy Inventors Day to Hungary. I know that it's been a long time since I've made a video like this. Debatably, this is like the first quote discussion type video that I've made all year, actually, and it's like mid-June. But a lot of stuff has been happening in my personal life, and I've been making a lot of changes here on the channel. I know that not all of you guys care about that stuff, so I'm not gonna bore all of you with that here, but if you care about me or the future of the channel in any way, shape, or form, then please stick around to the end of the video after the FF7 Remake talk, where I'm actually gonna be having a pretty lengthy discussion about what's been happening and what's gonna be happening from here on. But anyways, FF7, it was at E3, and I would argue that it was one of the biggest games at E3 this year. It was amazing. Right off the bat, day -1 of E3, we got a trailer at the FF7 orchestra concert, which I heard was trash, by the way. Apparently half the time, the orchestra was just sitting there in their seats and they were playing midis from the speakers. What the hell kind of a concert is that? But anyways, we got a new trailer. It looked awesome, nothing to complain about, and we got a release date of March 3rd, 2020, which was actually the exact 3rd anniversary of the Nintendo Switch. Fun fact. It's actually kind of funny because when I first saw 2020, for some reason, I thought that it was 2 years away. Like, this year would finish, and then there would be an entire other year, and then the year after that, we'd get FF7 in March. But then I was like, wait, no, we're in 2019. That's like 9 months away. I guess I was just in disbelief that it's actually coming this soon. And while I don't think that it's gonna get delayed just because the game looked pretty far along in development, and usually they wouldn't have come out with a release date this close to the actual launch unless they were sure they could meet it, I'll be disappointed but not surprised if anything like that happens. Although if FF7 gets delayed, then I will literally lose all hope for this game, because both FF15 and KH3 were delayed and they ended up being unfinished, broken experiences with little to no post-game content. But anyways, I actually, believe it or not, really think that Square was very smart about the way that they handled the FF7 Remake's development. Nomura already talked about how 2015 was way too early to reveal this game, but they did so anyways because rumors of Square working on it were already starting to spread, and they preferred us get an official reveal rather than hear about it through leaks. Obviously, in a perfect world, they would have kept the remake secret until E3 and then launched it literally less than a year later, but I think that what they did was the next best thing. Announce it, get it out of the way, and then literally don't talk about it. The fact that FF7 went so quiet from December 2015 to May 2019, I think was actually in the game's favor. People kind of almost forgot about the remake. I mean, obviously they still remember that it was a thing, but expecting it in any major events became kind of unrealistic. I much prefer this to Kingdom Hearts 3 or FF Versus 13, for example, where we would get 1 or 2 trailers literally every 2 years, and each time gameplay looked completely different, systems were reworked, graphics were still super rough, things were cut. With FF7, yeah, they could have probably given us a trailer every year or so, but those trailers would have been pointless. Half of the stuff would have been reworked, changed, or cut, and the final product would have been damn near unrecognizable. With this approach, they basically went, a Final Fantasy VII Remake is now in development, and then actually properly revealed it last month at State of Play. For all intents and purposes, the FF7 Remake was announced last month, and they came out guns blazing. First trailer after their return, they're like, we're gonna have another trailer next month. That trailer comes around, boom, release date, boom, we're gonna have an extended version of this trailer at E3 tomorrow. E3 rolls around, here's Tifa, here's the pre-order bonuses and collector's editions, and here's exactly how gameplay works. Also, the game is playable at the event. Speaking of, let's go ahead and talk about the E3 presentation now. I'm not gonna go into every single detail because other people already have, but I'm just gonna talk about the things that stood out to me personally. First of all, Tifa. She looks awesome. I think that they definitely listened and were testing out the waters when it came to the whole Aerith design controversy that happened last month. Now, for those of you that don't know, when the State of Play trailer dropped last month, a bunch of Japanese fans specifically complained that Aerith's face in particular was too tall and that she even looked a bit too Western or white. Someone made a redesign with her face a lot shorter, and I think that myself as well as a bunch of other people were kind of stuck in this limbo where the original looked a bit odd and just a tad bit too tall, but the fan redesign on the other hand looked too short and too round. I personally think that they hit the nail exactly right with Tifa. She looks like just the right blend of Western and Japanese. Her face is not too tall, not too short. She looks great. As far as gameplay is concerned, all I'm gonna say is it looks amazing. It's just the perfect blend of action RPG and turn-based strategy. It has the command menus of the original FF7, the party system of FF12, the staggering and ATB of the 13 trilogy, the action of FF15. This is really looking like the best version version of all the Final Fantasy combat systems combined, and this is all thanks to this man right here, Mitsunori Takahashi, battle planner of Kingdom Hearts 2, Dissidia Duodecim, and now the FF7 Remake. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but did I call it or did I call it? Back in April of 2017, over 2 years ago, I made a video talking about how the FF7 Remake wouldn't just be fully action-based like everyone assumed it would be after watching the trailers one time and not even taking the time to actually analyze it. I told you guys that it would be command-based. I said that it would have the Lightning Returns ATB system, which was officially classified as an action RPG, by the way. I told you guys that for specific abilities, you'd have to navigate the menus just like in the turn-based FFs, and can I just say that this system looks so good in the remake. Like, I don't think that a single human being ever used the wave mode in Final Fantasy XV because it was trash. All it did was pause the game and absolutely nothing about the game changed. It just gave you more time to think about what button to click next, but if you had clicked that button in gameplay without going into wave mode, nothing would have changed. In here, you actually get special abilities through the command menu, which was one of my major issues with the mainline numbered Kingdom Hearts games. I know that we've all gotten used to it at this point, and it wouldn't really feel like Kingdom Hearts without it, but when you think about it for literally like 2 seconds, the fact that the game forces you to navigate a turn-based RPG menu in the middle of real-time hack and slash combat is pretty damn stupid. I think that Kingdom Hearts could take a page from FF15 or Type 0 or the 7 Remake or literally any of the action Final Fantasy games and drop the command menu that it stole from the turn-based FF games. Switching between party members seems swift and smooth. I personally would have preferred the Type 0 party switching where the character swaps on the spot where you're already standing instead of the camera whipping over to where the character that you're switching to is standing like in FF15, but it's not too bad. I just hope that it doesn't get disorienting in the larger battles when your party members are all over the place. If I had one complaint, I don't like how long it took to kill the guard scorpion during the showcase. It took quite a long time, even with them cutting multiple parts of the fight out, and that was one of the biggest problems with, well, FF12 and 13 and 15. The fights could take upwards to like 30 plus minutes to complete sometimes, depending on the boss. It's not like they were hard. You're pretty much just doing the same thing over and over again, just slowly wearing down the boss, and even with the most in-depth, entertaining combat system in the world, you're gonna get pretty bored really fast if fights are like this. Keep in mind that this is only the tutorial boss. But of course, it's possible that they just gave the Scorpion more HP or defense for this showcase or demo. I guess that we won't really know until we actually play the game. And finally, on the topic of the length of the game, story, and amount of content, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit worried. Now, they mentioned this last month, but yes, the FF7 Remake will still be a multi-part project, not episodic, okay? I will repeat, not episodic. Did you guys hear that? No? Not episodic. Did you get it? Did you get that? Do I have to scream it louder? Do I have to go into your house and tattoo the FF7 Remake will not be episodic on your forehead? Because it really seems like with some people, even though it's been like 4 years, they really still haven't gotten the memo yet. No. It will not be episodic. Stop calling it that, okay? It's gonna be multiple games with one overarching story, no different than Uncharted, Mass Effect, Halo, etc. Anyways, it was confirmed during the presentation that this first part will be on 2 Blu-ray discs, but what does that really mean? Personally, I think that this is gonna be a situation kind of like Red Dead Redemption 2, where the game install comes on 2 separate discs since they couldn't fit it into one Blu-ray, but the game itself, you'll be able to play it with just one. I don't think that you're gonna get to the end of disc 1 and then have to insert disc 2 to keep playing like you did with the original on PS1 or with like FF13 on the Xbox 360, for example. Of course, this isn't an issue at all if you're getting the game digitally, and they could have theoretically just had this be a download like a bunch of Nintendo Switch games do, where half the game is on the cartridge and then the other half you have to download, but then that would mean that people without internet wouldn't be able to get it, and then you'd have to download and then install it anyways, as opposed to just installing it straight from the disc, so this is just faster in general. Now, the fact that the game requires entire 2 discs is pretty damn impressive in its own right, considering that one dual-layered Blu-ray can hold up to 50 gigabytes, so with the FF7 Remake, we're looking at upwards to possibly 100 gigabytes of content. Now, this is obviously a lot, but you gotta keep in mind that this is an HD game with a lot of cutscenes, models, areas, systems, pre-rendered segments, the whole 9 yards. This is most closely comparable to Final Fantasy XV, which launched with about 50 gigabytes, but with all the updates and DLC from over 2 years, has now racked up a total of 120 gigabytes, so that's pretty much the amount of content that we can expect from Final Fantasy VII, which is doubly impressive considering the fact that they basically confirmed this first part is going to focus almost exclusively on Midgar, and this is where my worries start to kick in. I'm not worried about the amount of content in this game. It's very clearly going to have a lot in that regard. It's obvious that they're going to be adding a lot more to the story of this Midgar segment, as is evident with those weird floating black Dementor looking guys that only Aerith and those who come in contact with her can see, and they're very clearly connected to Sephiroth as we see them in the background of his Kiar picture. This is nothing new. We've known that there was going to be a few story changes to the FF7 Remake since way back in like early 2017 when Nomura said that the compilation of Final Fantasy VII and Extended Universe would no longer be canon. However, that being said, the conclusion of Midgar does seem like a nice spot. Spoilers, I guess, for the original FF7 if you haven't played it for some reason. The villains of this opening section of the game are very clearly the Shinra Corporation and executives, and specifically our primary antagonist, President Shinra himself. The entire time we're working towards stopping them, and the fact that Sephiroth is going to turn around to be the main villain instead isn't really introduced until quite a few hours into the game. Now, I know that nowadays literally everybody knows who Sephiroth is, and this isn't going to come as a surprise to anyone, but I still really liked how for the longest time he was just this legendary soldier that you just heard about, only ever seeing what he did and what was left of his victims instead of actually seeing the man yourself with your own eyes. The fact that we're seeing this much of him this early, I'm not a big fan of, but oh well, it is what it is, I guess. Now you get to the end of Midgar and President Shinra dies as you would expect the main antagonist to at the end of any JRPG story. There's even a small twist where his son Rufus takes over and now he's gonna turn around to be the lead of the company, setting up for the story in the second part of the remake. That's all fine and good. What I don't like about this is the fact that we're only gonna get a maximum of 5 party members in the game, those being Cloud, Barret, Tifa, Aerith, and Red 13. That's it. That means that in this first part, we're not even gonna see Yuffie, Cid, Cait Sith, or Vincent at all. Not only that, we're also not going to get to see the Turks at all, which are some of your primary antagonists throughout the game. We don't get absolutely any backstory or development for Cloud, Tifa, or Sephiroth since that isn't introduced until Calm in the Nibelheim segment. A fact that is so sad because it adds so much to the story and it happens literally immediately after Midgar. It's the very first thing you go do. We're not going to get anything with Barret or Marlene since that doesn't happen until Coral and the story with Dyne. That's also going to mean that Red 13 is going to be introduced in the literal final moments of the game with no context at all since we don't find out about him until Cosmo Canyon. So this entire first part is basically just going to be set up and stuff happening to these people that we know nothing about and have no real reason to care for as of now. Part of what made Shinra so hateable was seeing all of the damage that they did, not only in the slums but in places like Nibelheim and Coral. Here, we get none of that and are just supposed to hate them because I guess they're the bad guys. But more so than that, Midgar is an extremely small fraction of the game. I would say that being generous, Midgar makes up about 1/10 of the original Final Fantasy VII. And no matter how extended and in-depth they make every single one of these games, I don't want a 10-part FF7 remake that will still be releasing in 12 years. But if Midgar took them this long to make and it's gonna have enough content to fill 2 Blu-ray discs, that's looking like a possibility. Or even worse, they'll just rush the final part or 2 of the remake to try and squeeze it all into, I don't know, 5 parts or something like that. Any way you slice it, this ain't looking good. Now, you might be thinking, oh, come on, Dean. I'm sure they thought ahead about all of that. They probably have a steady plan for the FF7 remake, and they simply believe that extending the Midgar segment is the best way to make the story flow and fit into 3 or 4 parts, right? And while I admire your wishful thinking, Kitase revealed in a recent statement that the reason they haven't said how many parts the remake will be is because they themselves don't know yet. So they just kind of made the game. They took 4 years to make the equivalent of 1/10 of the original and are just gonna release it like that without any regards to how this could affect them in the future, or how it's gonna be separated, or how many parts they'll do, or for how much longer they'll have to keep working on this remake. All they worried about was making this one part, and I guess we'll figure out as we go. That's a future Square Enix problem. God, Square, why is it that every time that you make something that looks so good, you manage to also be so stupid at the same time? But alright, that about wraps it up for my thoughts on the FF7 remake and everything that we got from E3. The good, the bad, and the Tifa. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take some time to talk about what's been going on the channel and what you guys can expect in the future, and I'll try to keep it as brief as I possibly can. So okay, back 2 years ago in summer of 2017, I graduated from high school, and at the time, FF15 had just come out a few months earlier, and I was about to start college, and I really didn't know what direction I wanted to take the channel in. I was at a bit of a loss, which led me to stopping uploads altogether for a few months. I was kind of getting sick of doing the same old topical news and discussion type videos that I'd been making for like 3 years at that point, and I really wanted to try something different. Now, despite the fact that I didn't upload basically at all in the fall of that year, I knew that I wanted to do something special for the Final Fantasy 30th anniversary that December, and what I settled on was a style of video that I'd been wanting to do since before I even started my channel. I did a video talking about Final Fantasy I in the same vein as a review from Spoony, whose Final Fantasy reviews were some of my biggest inspirations on YouTube. Now, I know that Spoony is a bit of a controversial figure nowadays, but I stand by the fact that his old FF videos are some of the best on the internet. And in fact, the only reason why I hadn't started making videos like that is because I didn't have the equipment, a PC to record the game, a microphone, a camera, all that stuff. And by the time that the FF1 video came out, I still didn't have all of that stuff. In fact, I borrowed most of them from friends just because I really wanted to make this FF1 video. But eventually that video came out and it really didn't do that well, as can be expected from a video on a random retro game on a channel that at that point hadn't uploaded in about 3 months. So early 2018 came along and I essentially went back to doing my old style of videos again, reluctantly, until I discovered a change. See, around a year ago in summer of 2018, I started doing a bit of a different style of videos. They were less frequent, only coming out about once a week, but I really enjoyed them and the viewers really seemed to as well. The best way that I have to describe these projects is video essays, and I personally hate that term because I feel that half the time the people that describe their content as video essays come off as like super pretentious, but that's really what they were. Instead of just hitting the record button and talking for a few minutes, I would actually do like a ton of research on any given topic and cite all my sources in the description, and I would even also incorporate like a little live action skit at the beginning and ending of every video. My personal 2 favorites being the Super Smash Bros. Character reel and the Turks theme song cover. I really enjoyed making all of these videos, and I stand by the fact that summer 2018 was the best time for my channel. But eventually, when fall hit, I finally finished building my new PC and I could finally record games to continue making more videos covering each FF game one by one, which I called retrospectives. Now, just like with video essays, I don't really like the term retrospectives, but once again, it's the most accurate way to describe the videos that I was making. My goal was to cover every single Final Fantasy game one by one in release order, and there was only one thing standing in the way of that: Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, while I could have theoretically just ignored Kingdom Hearts and kept going on to Final Fantasy II, I felt that after all the wait and all the videos that I'd made for years in anticipation for that game, the bare minimum that I could do was cover that game. And I knew that I did want to stream all of the previous Kingdom Hearts games before KH3 came out, a fact that kind of got in the way of me playing FF2 since I also wanted to stream all the games that I was going to be covering in the next retrospective as I played them. And so I put FF2 on the back burner and just kept streaming all the Kingdom Hearts games into late 2018, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have any major projects. I had 2 ideas in mind that I really wanted to do: a Halloween special on Final Fantasy creepypastas and a Christmas special on Kingdom Hearts. Now, even though at that point I hadn't been uploading consistently at all, I'd pretty much just been doing Kingdom Hearts streams on the channel, I uploaded my Halloween special on October 31st, and it did horrible. Despite all the hard work that I put into the story and the skits and it being one of my absolute favorite videos on the channel, nobody watched it, and I'm pretty sure that it was in big part due to the fact that it was the very first video I had uploaded in months. And it was at that point that I realized something. I said, this Kingdom Hearts Christmas video is too special. I am putting more effort, more time, more energy, more love, more work into this video than I have into anything else in my entire life. I can't release it after 2 months of not uploading, only for nobody to watch it again. And so I made a choice. The entire month of November leading into December, I went back to my old style of videos. Not video essays, not researched videos, not videos with skits or that were informative, not videos that had any rewatch value, not videos that anybody would have any reason to go back to after a month. I went back to the style of videos that I was making in 2017. The types of videos that other Final Fantasy YouTubers are making. Topical, news, reactions. To be frank with you guys, videos that I'm not really particularly proud of. I did not want to make those types of videos anymore. But I released them consistently, 2 or 3 times a week. I'd have a video up. It got more traffic coming to the channel, more views, more people. It got dormant subscribers to start interacting more, and it got people used to me uploading. And it was all for that one Christmas special. It was because I wanted that video to do well, because I wanted people to see it, because I put way too much effort into it for nobody to watch it again. And that exact thing happened. Now sure, the Christmas video didn't do amazing, but it did really well for what it's worth. People got to see it and I was extremely proud of it. That's all that mattered to me. If you're watching this video and you have not seen How Dean Weiss Stole Christmas, please go watch it. If you're only gonna watch one thing that I make for the rest of my life, that's the video to do it on. And then January rolled around and uploads kind of stopped. I still kept streaming the Kingdom Hearts games and uploading highlights from those, but other than that, that was pretty much it. Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, I played that, got it over and done with, and now I could finally go back to Final Fantasy II. Now, I streamed Final Fantasy II and made the retrospective for that. I was really proud of how it turned out, probably my second favorite video after the Christmas special. Then I streamed the Final Fantasy Legend, which was the next game, made a retrospective for that. At this point, I've beat Final Fantasy III, I'm working on the video for that, and I'm also working on streaming the next game, Final Fantasy Legend 2. And while the videos have been really great, in my opinion, I've been putting a lot of work and effort into them, and I really like the final products, not a lot of people are watching them. Now look, I'm not an idiot, okay? I know how YouTube works. I knew that this would happen. I knew that going from making like topical news-related current Final Fantasy videos over to doing like in-depth videos covering all the retro FF games was kind of a bad idea. I knew this would happen. I knew that it was going to be hard. I knew that not all of my subscribers would watch these new videos. I knew that I would lose a bunch of subscribers. I knew that I would get very low views. I knew that I wouldn't make any money off these new videos, or that some people would stay subscribed but never watch another one of my videos again. I knew, but I still chose to do that because I wanted to make videos that I liked, videos that I was proud of. I didn't want to be like all those other Final Fantasy YouTubers that do nothing but clickbait with fake reactions or fan-made models on thumbnails and who couldn't care less about their viewers. However, it's a lot easier said than done to do that. I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't discouraging to work harder on these videos than I ever have before, but to always open up the YouTube studio and see my subscriber net change always in the negatives, or to know that I'm not going to get paid anything that month since I didn't meet YouTube's minimum benchmark for paychecks. To scroll down to the most recent comments and always have them be for videos that I made like 2 years ago instead of what I'm working on now. It's not easy being a YouTuber despite what everyone thinks, especially not if you're making something that you actually care about. And I've talked about this with my friend Eliason a lot, and every time that I do, he kept telling me the same thing over and over again. He'd say, Dean, I know that you really want to do these retrospectives for the old FF games, but there's nothing wrong with making a topical video every now and then, even if they are video essays like the ones that you made a year ago. I mean, you're still proud of those, aren't you? They'll drive views, they'll drive subs, they're well-researched, informative, funny, and entertaining videos. Why don't you make those every now and then? But I wouldn't listen to him. I don't know why. But ultimately, I think he was right. I'm at the point now where if I keep going in this direction, just making retrospectives and nothing else, I'm eventually gonna run out of money because these videos ain't cheap. I have to buy the actual game cartridges, one for every single video, then props like, for example, the NES controller or the Game Boy that I used on the retrospective, and then I usually buy a shirt that matches the color of the game if I don't already have one. On the Christmas video, for example, I had to buy the Santa costume. For the FF3 video, I'm probably gonna need to buy a green screen and a lapel mic, not to mention that my buddy Loot Guy, who helps me record all of them, has basically just been working for free up to now. These videos themselves are not making enough money to pay for any of that at all. And in case you guys are wondering, that's why I changed all the donation goals on my live streams from equipment like webcams and mics and mice and keyboards and all that stuff to just the budget of the next retrospective, because I need that stuff more at this point. Now, where am I going with all this? Okay, in short, I want the channel to succeed, right? Obviously, there isn't a YouTuber out there who doesn't want their hard work to be seen, right? I tried doing the retrospectives exclusively for like 2-3 months, and that didn't really seem to be working. The videos are good, don't get me wrong, but not a lot of people are watching them. And so I'm actually going to, for once, listen to the advice that my friends give me and do what my buddy Eliason said. I'm actually gonna be going back to the old style of video essays that I was making last year. Not a lot, okay? Not once a week like I was doing back then, but my current goal is to get at least one out between every retrospective. And since I plan to release those about once a month, this will basically mean 2 videos a month. One retrospective on an old FF game, and then one slightly more topical video essay. That'll still be, you know, super researched and have a skit or two just because I enjoy doing that and I don't want to make the normal news or discussion videos anymore. But yeah, at this point, I've been rambling for a long time about the past 2 years of the channel and what's gonna happen in the future. I hope that I didn't bore all of you guys to death, but yeah. If you still haven't seen the 3 retrospectives that I've done or the Halloween and Christmas specials, then please go show them some love, but other than that, I guess that's pretty much all I got. Thank you guys for sticking through all that. I hope that it wasn't too boring and that you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe, and as always, stay tuned, Kupo.